everybody, GT here from GT's Barbecue. Today I'm going to do a brisket. I'm going to do it a little bit differently though. This is going to be a holiday brisket with a Thanksgiving theme. Instead of the normal sweet barbecue seasonings that I normally put on a brisket, I'm going to go ahead and use a much more savory profile, and I'm going to end up using some potatoes, onions, carrots, and we're going to make this a little bit more like a pot roast, honestly. So let's get this thing seasoned up here and we'll see what we get. Okay, so for this cook, I'm going to use I started out with a 14-pound prime brisket I got from Costco. I went ahead and trimmed the fat off the top. I left about a quarter inch of fat here on the flat. You can kind of see where the two muscles come together here. And of course, on the bottom, and again, here on the bottom, this fat layer is what separates the flat from the point. And after this renders down, you can go ahead and separate these if you want. I'm not going to this time. Anyway, this is the point. This is the flat. I'm going to go ahead and use a more savory layering of rubs for this. This is a salt, pepper, garlic mix that I actually made myself. I'll put the recipe for that down below. I got this from Brother James over at Amon and Claiborne Barbecue. And this I've found is a really, really good salt, pepper, garlic. So we're going to go ahead and season this thing up here. Not too heavy of a coat on the first layer, but we do want to get all the edges. And I like to use a pan for this. It really helps save on the mess. Makes cleanup a lot easier. Sorry about the hand in the way. That side. And I don't want to get the debate started on fat side up, fat side down, but I will cook this fat side down just because I'm using a pellet grill. So the radiant heat is going to come from below. And this is a prime where you can see the marbling in that thing. It really is amazing, the difference. And then for the other layer, I am going to use some Killer Hog steak rub. It's a little bit coarser. Obviously, it's a lot more savory. Again, I'm going to forgo the sweet that I normally do. And you can see the bigger pieces of ingredients in this. It's going to make a nice bark. And again, this is a big piece of meat. This is only, gosh, there was a lot of drop on this one. I probably only have 10 pounds left, I'd guess, out of that 14 that I started with. But you can be pretty liberal with this. Most of this is going to render off, especially on the fat cap side. And I'm going to let this set overnight, get this on the smoker in the morning. And we'll get to cooking our holiday brisket. So okay, so I'm getting ready to bring this brisket in. I put it on about 7:30 this morning. It's now about noon. I've been running about 230 degrees. It has a nice bark. Before I bring it in, I wanted to show you the foundation, and this is what makes this a holiday brisket, or what I call a Thanksgiving brisket. I have a small bag of carrots. I have some potatoes here, one large onion, cut into big chunks. I'm not going to season this at all because we're going to get seasonings from the brisket. I'm going to put the brisket right on top of here, wrap it up nice and tight, and we'll finish it off like this. So at the end, we're going to have some delicious brisket, but we're also going to have some nice veggies. I went ahead and mixed up some Cosmos Q's beef injection, which I didn't inject the brisket, but I put about a cup of that in here. I'm going to use that just to add a little bit of moisture. So I'm going to bring the brisket in here in a second and we'll get it wrapped up. Okay, this thing is looking delicious. Got a nice bark on here. The way you can tell when your bark is set is when you can kind of rub your finger across it and it doesn't crumble off. So that's the color I'm looking for. It's a nice mahogany color. I've got this on this bed of veggies. And I'm gonna add just a little bit of this beef injection. Not a lot, just enough to add a little bit of flavor, a little bit of moisture. You can kind of see that's already soaking into the top of the brisket. The point is down below here. And it would be real easy to separate these right now, which is what I would normally do, but I'm going to go ahead and cook this thing the whole way through just like it is. Very slowly. Let this soak in. So I have about 1 cup of water. This is about a half batch of what I would normally mix for an injection. And this is going to add not only moisture, but a really nice flavor, not only to the brisket, but to the au jus. And then we're going to have some tasty potatoes. Okay, so that's about 1 cup of liquid. I'm going to very carefully hold this up. We want to get this as tight as we possibly can so we don't lose any of that nice bark we created. I'm going to go like so. I may end up triple wrapping this. Once again, this was a 14-pound brisket when I started. Get it nice and tight. The less air that you have between the meat and the foil, the less steam you're going to have. And that steam won't hurt anything, but it'll kind of break down that bark. Now we're going to turn it this way. Put it over like so. And this will also prevent any loss of liquid in case it leaks a little bit. I think that's going to be just fine. I'm going to put it in just like this. Back cap down, just like before. This all nice and tight. And I am gonna go ahead and turn the grill up to I'm gonna go 275 degrees on this part, mostly just because I want to speed this process up. And I'm not gonna cook to a temperature. I'm gonna cook till I probe it and it's probe tender, and then I'll rest it for at least an hour before we slice. So I'll get this back out on the grill here, and we'll see you in a couple hours. Okay, Mr. Brisket's been on just about 8 hours now. I'm going to go ahead and open this thing up a little bit. Oh man, the smell. We still have some good bark on here. Again, I didn't cook to a temp, but you can see I'm going to just probe this thing. It just goes in and out like butter. The point is just perfect. We've got our veggies in here. So what I'm going to do, just for the heck of it, we're about 209 degrees. Again, I didn't cook to a temp, but that's about where it is. So I'm going to take the brisket and attempt to get it out of here, like so. And then we're going to drain these veggies. Oh man, this is going to be so delicious. That au jus is going to be so delicious. Get our veggies down in there, like so. We're going to save that for later. Now I want this. Now I want this brisket to rest, probably for about an hour. I normally would rest a brisket closer to 2 hours, but this is, you can just see how jiggly that thing is. It's basically just already coming apart. So now that the steam's out, it won't continue to cook when I put it in the cooler. So I'm just going to go ahead and wrap it up, just like before. Get it nice and tight. We have plenty of room now, since the veggies aren't in there. I'm going to move this into my cooler with a towel. And I'm going to leave it in there for about an hour, and we'll see what we get here in a bit, and we'll get it plated. Okay, so Mr. Brisket has rested for about 1 hour now. I went ahead and separated the flat from the point. It's real easy to do once it's cooked. Basically, you can just run your hand in between the two muscles, and then it's real easy to get some of the excess fat off. I'm just going to go ahead and cut right down the middle of this guy. And we'll see what we have here. That is one good looking, juicy, moist, nice smoke ring from the Rectech. I'm going to go ahead and make some slices here. It's not a very square slice, but the finger test, just a gentle pull, comes right apart. A little hot. One of the best briskets I've done. This was from Costco. It was a prime, 14 pound, and I used apple and cherry pellets for this particular cook. So I'm going to set this off to the side. I have my veggies stationed here. What I'm going to do is present this. I'm going to put some of the point or fatter meat and some of the flat on here. So I'm not going to make you watch this whole thing. I'll carve some of this up, show you the end result on the presentation, and I'll be back here in a second. Okay, so here's my final platter. I did take some of the au jus, separated it. We're just going to drizzle a little bit over. I'm actually going to take some of this over to a neighbor. She had cataract surgery a couple days ago, so I promised I'd keep an eye out for her. So we're going to take down a little dinner for these guys. So one point I do want to make, I've made this about 4 different times. I've always used whole carrots and chunked them up pretty good size. These little baby carrots, we had a bag of them in there, so I used them. They just disintegrated. They taste delicious. The potatoes are perfect. They're not overdone, but I would use whole carrots and just chunk them up good size. So thanks so much for watching. If you're so inclined, please like and subscribe, and we'll see you next time.